Hi, this is Lee Furseth from the Headwaters Science Center in Bemidji, Minnesota. Today is Thursday, and today the show is called Stomp Rocket. We currently have no guests or visitors here, and I am fully vaccinated, and Angie's fully vaccinated. She's on the other side of the camera, so I want you to be able to hear me clearly, so I took off my mask. And today we're doing Stomp Rockets. This is just one of those creation videos. You're gonna make the Stomp Rocket. So where's all the science? I still think there's some science, but this is a time when you go, oh, I need to follow directions. That's right, I'm gonna show you a bunch of directions, and that's the idea. So just before the show started, Angie sent you 2 sheets of paper that explain what's happening today. And both of those sheets are now available to you. So you could go out and say, okay, I'm gonna go get those. You could watch the video and make it at the same time, or you could watch the video and make it right afterwards. Whatever works for you. This will have all the directions you need for both the rocket and the Stomp Rocket part. Okay, first of all, what do you need? Tools, materials, supplies. What do you need? The first thing you're gonna need is a hacksaw. So you're going to go and get permission, if you're a young person, to go out into what could be the garage and get a saw that looks like this. This is a hacksaw. Would another saw work? I don't think so. You don't want a saw that cuts wood. That's not what you want. You want a saw that will be able to cut through this PVC pipe. And so go get a hacksaw, or get permission to get the hacksaw, or get someone to help you. The next thing you will need is a ruler. Now, I'm going to hold the ruler back here, and then I'm going to bring it all the way to the camera, because you have to have a ruler that has centimeters on it. So here we go. This is nice and close. You have to have the centimeter side, not the inch. Well, you need the inches side will probably be there. It's the centimeter side you're going to need. I'll explain that in just a little bit. You're also going to need a pencil, and you'll find the list of PVC pipe materials you'll need in that directions that we sent you. But essentially, here's what you're going to need. You're going to go into the hardware store, or you could go to one of those big box hardware stores, or you could go to a local hardware store, and you're going to get a pipe like this. Well, actually, it's going to be twice as long, because they come as 10-footers, and you don't need 10 feet of pipe. You only need 5 feet of pipe. So we'll get a 10-footer. It's the size they come in. And what are you going to do with the other half? I don't know, make 2 rockets. That works for me. Or whatever else you're going to do. Now they have to be 1/2 inch. So you can look at the label while you're at the hardware store and get a 1/2 inch. Or you can look on the side of the PVC pipe and it'll say a 1/2 inch. This one says a 1/2 inch. That's the size you need. Now that's only one. That's all you need of that piece. So I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to go to the other things you'll need. So to make a Stomp Rocket, you need a couple of end caps. They look like this. You'll need 2 of those. You will need 2 T-pipes. So they're kind of cool. They have 3 different openings. There's one over there. And then, okay, so that's what that looks like. And then there's ones that have this little tiny curve in them, and you need 2 of those. So that's the materials you need there. And you will need some tape. So you could go get a tape dispenser. You could go get some Scotch tape. That's what you're going to need. I think, oh, and you'll need a scissor. This is going to be used for cutting paper. So while this scissor is not the fanciest scissor, it'll surely work for us. And did I say a pencil? Pencil is a good thing to have. I've now covered all the supplies and materials we need. Oh, you're going to need some paper. And when I did this, I actually used some of the Stomp Rocket demonstration paper. I also went to the recycle bin and got some other paper. So you're going to need some paper. That's all the supplies you're going to need. Sorry, there's 2 more things. You are going to need an empty pop bottle. That's coming. You're going to need one. So whether or not you go to the grocery store and buy one that's full and then drink down all that Coca-Cola, it's not what I did. Or whether you went to the recycle bin somewhere in town here and got one, those 2 things work. It does have to hold air. Can't have a hole in it. And then we'll need some duct tape. All right, I think we have everything now. That's what you're going to create when you create this. So first step, you're going to take the 10-foot piece of pipe. You're going to get out your ruler, and you're going to find the 5-foot mark. Literally, unless you want to use a tape measure, you are going to flip your ruler over and over and over until you get to 5 feet, and then you're going to mark it with your pencil, and that'll be your very first hacksaw cut. This is going to end up 5 feet long, so you're going to take your hacksaw, cut the pipe in half, and then you'll have 5 feet. Again, what you do with the other half, it's not needed for the rocket unless you decide to make a second rocket. We now have 5 feet, and now you're going to cut this into a whole bunch of pieces. So here's my advice. Look at the list of lengths of pipe and do all the smallest ones first. Do the smallest marks first. So the smallest ones are 4 centimeters. You need 2 4-centimeter pipes, and that's what I did. I took my ruler, I marked off 4 centimeters, and I made 2 marks for that. Now I didn't start cutting yet. I just made the 2, got them done. Then I went and said, what's the next biggest one? Oh, now I need an 8-centimeter one. Again, I took my ruler, I started where I had left off with the 2 4s, did an 8-centimeter one, and I kept right on going until I had them all marked. Once you have them all marked, you can just start cutting, and you will cut out all your pieces until this one has been cut into a bunch of small parts. Now it's time to assemble it. So instead of assembling all of that, I already have one that's all put together. So I'm going to take it apart just so you can see where all the pieces go. And then I'll put it back together as best I can. This one looks like it's a little stuck, so I'm just going to leave it right where it is. This one was connected with duct tape. This is really the only place you need duct tape. In fact, you could do it without duct tape at all. So you go ahead and follow the directions. This happens to be the longest one. You connect it to one of these curvy ones. Then you add this particular piece right here. Let's make sure I have this correct. Yep, this one's going to go right here. Now it's time to add what kind of turns out to be the feet. This one goes in there. This one goes in there. I call it the feet anyway. And now you take this one. Hey, welcome back. We have some people that are back. They said, we're going to come back for your show. Okay, here we are. Welcome back. Now, I've now assembled the rocket part, the launching part, not the rocket. And I'm just going to put this off to the side for a little bit because we are going to stomp a rocket. That might be a good time in the show to get some audience participation. So think about stomping and what all of that means. Now I want to talk about the rocket. All right, for the rocket, the very first step you want to do is take a piece of paper. It can be pretty much a scratch piece of paper. I went, and you're going to take a part of your rocket. It's this, that probably went off camera there. You're going to take this last one you put in there, and you're just going to take it off of the launcher. And you're going to use that one. You're going to wrap the paper around the PVC pipe. So I'm going to come right over to the camera. It's right in there. I'll even take it out. It's right in there. You're going to wrap that. Now, I'm going to tell you, here's a little advice. Don't wrap it too tight. Don't wrap it so tight that you go, oh, I really got it, and then tape it right away. That's not the idea. So it has to be a little bit loose so you can slide it back out. And that's what this one looks like right now. And I want to tell you, I went ahead and made one, so I didn't have to do all that taping. And I taped it right there. This one has 2 fins on it as well. All right, so now I have this part of the rocket, and now it was time to make what is called the nose cone. Okay, nose cone. That doesn't sound like a real scientific term. I wish there was a bigger scientific term. So in a rocket where the astronauts are, in this part right here, they call that the fuselage. Nice term, the fuselage. It's a good word to take back to Washington. The fuselage. All right, so the fuselage is actually the nose cone in this part right here. And here's how I make, it's going to end up looking like this. Here's how I make it. In the directions, they tell you cut out this shape right here, this semicircle, cut that one out and put it back together again to make, that's not what I did. That's not what I do. When I want a circle, and it doesn't have to be perfect. When I want a circle and it doesn't have to be perfect, the first thing I do is make a square. So I get a piece of paper and I make it into a square. This one happens to be a square. And as soon as I have a square, then I go, all right, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's important to remember. There are things in life that don't have to be perfect. And for this one, I just cut off all the tips. Yes, I could have gone and gotten a glass or something circular, and I could have traced it, and then I could have cut it all out, and I could have done all those things. I didn't. Is that a circle? The answer would be no. There's still too many tips. Okay, so I'm going to cut off some more tips. There should be 8 of them this time. Is that a circle? The answer is no, but it didn't have to be perfect. So that's as far as I'm going. And now I need to find the center. So to find the center of a circle, you fold it twice. You fold it once like this. Now you have a semicircle, a half a circle. And then you fold it again. And now, right where that tip is the center of the circle. That's the center. Okay, maybe you don't believe me. So I should unfold it and show it to you. Where those lines are crossing is the center of the circle. Didn't have to be perfect. Have I already said that once? Maybe twice? Doesn't have to be perfect. Because now I'm going to cut to the center. And now I'm going to start overlapping it, and overlapping it, and overlapping it, and overlapping it. And I just keep overlapping it until I have a cone, nose cone, that's the size I want. I could keep right on going, making it slightly smaller until I know that I can fit it on top of the rest of the rocket. Okay, it's still a little too large. I think I'll do this. I think I'll tape it now. And, oh, that's too large. I think I'll cut it off. And now I have one that I can put on there. And that's going to be my nose cone. Oh wait, we weren't going to use that unscientific term. We were going to use something way more scientific. That's the fuselage. And we're going to tape it right onto there. I already made one of those. I already have the tape connected, so here it comes. It's going right there. And I'm going to go ahead and tape that one onto there. That's a little tricky to do all by yourself. This would be a good time for you to say, hey, could you give me some help? I might want. No, I wasn't serious. I can get this one. Maybe not, but that's going to be my nose cone, my fuselage. Now, do I know that it will fit on top of the pipe? Well, yeah, that's when I wrapped it around, so this is going to work, but it might be a good time to check it out. Okay, so, yep, that's going to work. So what are these things? These are fins. And what could they possibly be for? What would you need a fin for? Well, I'm not exactly sure what they do, but I do want you to know that when the rocket takes off, we do want it to fly straight. And the fins help the air keep the rocket flying straight. So how do I make fins? I make fins by taking a rectangle and cutting the rectangle from corner to corner, and then I use the 2 parts that came out of the rectangle to be the fins. These 2 parts would be what shape? Yeah, that's a triangle. This would be a triangle. It's one of those special triangles. When I was in geometry class in high school, they said if you have a right angle, and then you have one side that's longer than the other side, we call that a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That's the triangle you want, right there, the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And for that, you tape that onto the rocket. Now, I already taped on 2 of them, so I was a little bit ahead. So here comes the 3rd one. And you do want them to be about the same distance apart. So there are my fins. We now have the rocket. We now have the rocket launch. And at this point, the camera may have a little bit of difficulty seeing everything, and I want you to know I'm the least important part of the show. So whatever we're doing, we're going to want to have the rocket. And I suppose this would be a good time to talk about the science a little bit. Because we're going to stomp on the pop bottle. It's going to push the air all out of the pop bottle, but the air has nowhere to go except up the pipe. It's going to turn this little corner. It's going to go right past here. It's going to get it into the very end where the rocket with the, what is that called? Oh yeah, the fuselage is going to be right there. And all that air is going to fill up the rocket, and then it's going to cause it to take off. Where? Well, that's kind of exciting to think about. Just before we do this, I want you to know that this rocket, which I made about 3 days ago, went through about 15, 20 launches. That was mostly this morning, but I did some in my own yard. So I made a second rocket for this morning. 2 boys came by, and they immediately started stomping. So I'd say this rocket lasted through about another 15 or 20 launches, including off of the floor and into the second floor of the Science Center. That was very fun. All right. I need a volunteer. I need a volunteer who can stomp. Are you willing? Let's practice, because I think it's important to practice. This is one of those times where stomping kind of meekly is not what we want. So you don't want to stomp like this. You want to really stomp.
2 feet.
I appreciate that advice, but it could result in falling down. But tell you what, you go home and make all of this and jump right on top of it.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with the 1 foot. Right? I like the idea. All right, let's practice once, but not on the bottom. Are you ready? What is your name? Will you tell me?
Capri.
What is it?
Capri.
Capri. This is Capri. And Capri is 3, 4, and she's going to stomp on there. But let's practice once right here. You ready? Now, because this is a rocket, it's important to count backwards. And when you get to 1, you say blast off. So we're going to count backwards and then blast off. Got it? But we're just practicing. Now, should we start counting from 100 and count backwards? No. That would take a long time. From 10. Wait, this show is already getting kind of long. Let's do it from 5. We're going to count backwards from 5. When we get to 1, we're going to yell blast off. And we're just practicing right here on the floor, not on the pot yet. All right? Ready? Set. 5, 4. We do have an audience. They should help with the counting, shouldn't they?
Yes.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off.
Hard.
Good practice. Good practice. Are you ready for the real thing? Okay, stand right over here next to. I would need the right. Well, we do want camera, don't we? Okay, stand over here. Which foot are you going to stomp it with? This one or that one? This one? Okay. Counting backwards from 5. You're going to do it on blast off.
Hard.
You are doing that rocket right there. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Woo! There we go. Nicely done. Thanks for volunteering. That was so much fun. I think we should do it again.
Yeah.
Any chance there's another volunteer? Anywhere? Is there another volunteer? Anybody else want to volunteer? Anybody think they'd like to volunteer? You'd like to volunteer? Okay. Grant, would you like to volunteer? This is Grant. He's volunteering. But first I want you to know that there's problems. I'll show you on camera. You can tell the problem. It's easily fixed. But because this is a science center, any guesses as to what we should do? How do we fix this? Any suggestions? Did you say blow? That's it. See how easy that was to fix? All right, here we go. Thanks for hanging in there, audience. Grant, where would you like to go with this rocket? Where would you like to end up? All right, now what we're aiming for? We're aiming for the top of the windmill. Is that what you said? No. Is that okay with you? Well, I want to pick a spot. We could pick a spot. We could pick the windmill. How about over the gate? All right. What do you think we should change it a little bit? All right. Again, we're counting backwards from 5. All right. Now, if this was an actual rocket launch, we'd probably hear something like this. Houston, Houston, are you ready for liftoff? Right? Going to be Houston. Is that Houston? All right, Houston, we're ready for liftoff. Here we are. Okay. We're going live right away. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Whoa! Sure that went off camera? It actually hit the ceiling, back down again. Thank you, Grant. Volunteer. Is there another volunteer? Anybody else? All right. We will end our show knowing somebody else might say, yep, I still want in. We do this 7 days a week, 3:30, live show, Headwaters Science Center. By the way, we're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5. And on Sundays, it's 1 to 5. Thanks very much. We had this audience group, this family from Washington, the state of Washington. They came in, and that was absolutely